Welcome to the Recruitment Hackers Podcast, a show about innovations, technology, and leaders in the recruitment industry. Brought to you by TalkPush, the leading recruitment automation platform.
Hi hackers, TalkPush Marketing jumping in real quick to give you the lowdown on this week's episode. Max will be diving into different elements of the candidate experience and how we can improve. First up, make an automated process feel authentic and human.
Hello, recruitment hackers. This is Max from TalkPush, and today I would like to speak about a nice, warm, and fuzzy topic, which is how do you keep a human touch in an automated recruitment process? I work a lot in high-volume recruitment situations, and we're talking about employers who receive thousands of applications every week, some of them every day. So obviously, they can't really give that very human one-on-one conversation that you would get in a much smaller company, but they try. And I've seen some great things out there, some great examples of companies that have figured out how to keep things very personal and human while working at a large scale. I think one thing that really works well is when the hiring manager, the person who is going to be working with a future hire, sends a personal voice note or a video note to the candidate at different stages in the recruitment process. So after the first interview, candidate comes to site and then goes home. A little voice note that would say, "Thank you so much for coming today. It was great to meet you. And I really wish you the best of luck in the rest of in the recruitment process." And then again, at the hiring stage, congratulations, somebody gets an offer letter. Why not record a little video between you and the teammates to 30-second video that you send to the candidate on WhatsApp or on Messenger or on email, where you say, "Hey, we're all so excited to welcome you on board. Here's the team you're going to be working with." Now, these are small touches that have outsized return on investment, and the technology is there to make it easy for anybody to produce. But, the imagination there can go in many different directions. I'm curious to hear what other beautiful examples of human touch you can recommend that you've seen in your recruitment process that is differentiated and that makes people feel good about the recruitment process and remind them that it's a people business. It's about establishing bonds.
Hope you got some ideas on where and how to establish those human touch points. Up next, it's all about rejecting candidates nicely and at scale.
It's not fun being a job seeker. Most of the time, you have to deal with rejection. Unfortunately, most employers do not spend the time to figure out how to reject candidates properly. At TalkPush, we always look for ways to make that experience a little bit better. I've boiled it down to 4 things we can do to improve the candidate experience around being rejected. Number 1, the last thing you want to do is ghost them. So no silence. If somebody is being rejected, it's always best to let them know so they can move on with their lives, move on with their search. Number 2, you might want to give a little bit of delay from the moment you've spoken to them to the moment you're sending the rejection. Ideally, your software, as ours does, will allow for you to set up a delay in sending that notification so that the candidate feels that you've given them proper consideration and enough time to really evaluate their application. Number 3, you might want to personalize and maybe even give them some feedback. What I mean by personalize is, at the bare minimum, address them by name and referring back to the position they've applied, rather than send them a template message, "Dear candidate, sorry, but you're not there." And maybe personalize them with a reason for your rejection. That's always a little tricky because it can open a can of worms and a long discussion. So try to keep it, as objective as possible. And finally, number 4, you can communicate to the candidates a time at which they can reapply for the position. Most software, as TalkPush does, will allow you to set a time for candidates to reapply within 3 months, 6 months, or a year, so that you do not close the door indefinitely for this candidate. Remember, rejecting a candidate is also an opportunity. If you do it well, it can increase referrals and it can build good karma for your brand. Remember that today's reject may still be tomorrow's hire, or maybe even tomorrow's customers. So treat everyone nice, even those who you don't think will ever join you.
So, there's definitely lots of things we can do to turn rejected candidates into brand promoters. Up next, why candidates hate resumes and what to ask for instead.
Do you still need a resume as part of your recruitment process in 2020? And I'm going to argue you do not. I'm going to argue that the reason you still use resumes today is because you're being lazy. You're instead of asking yourself, what are the qualities that I need from a candidate? What is an assessment that I can ask them to do that could be done in a few minutes through an interaction? Instead of asking yourself those hard questions, you're defaulting to your old habits, which is I'm just going to ask for a resume, and that'll be one way to screen candidates. Maybe I'll pick the ones who go to the best schools or the ones who know how to format their resume the best way. But I mean, unless you're hiring for a job that requires resume editing as a core skill, you're not going to really be able to draw much information from that resume. So many tools out there today that allow you to assess if somebody's got good communication skills, empathy, or analytical skills, math skills, and other. And even if you don't use those tools, just with a couple of smartly phrased screening questions, you can get so much more value out of it than off a resume. I often ask people, if you have the choice between looking, if you're hiring a 20-something-year-old salesperson, you got the choice between looking at their resume or talking to them for 1 minute. Which one is going to help you make the right decision? In 2020, you don't have to go back to resume. You don't have to use them anymore. And I challenge you to start looking at your process and seeing all the jobs where you can flesh them out. Now, for some jobs, I may be wrong.
Yep, we're not fans of resume sifting here, especially with so much tech available to make the process better for our candidates. Up next, how to make your career website actually convert.
The question I have is, how do you imagine the best career website to be? What would the best career website do in your dream world? It's a question I ask myself, and I've been asking our engineering team for years. And I think that a good way to answer this question is to say, well, if money was not a problem, if you had an infinite amount of resources, how would you as an employer like to engage with a candidate who is coming to you for the first time? I guess what you would want to do is you'd open the door and you would say hello, and you'd ask them how they're doing and ask them a couple of questions about what they're interested in, what they want to do. And based on that, you would immediately be able to direct them to the right place. You'd say, well, okay, that's cool. So based on what you're saying, I think you should go talk to this department and you should tell them about your story. And bizarrely, even though that's very obvious and intuitive, most career websites aren't designed that way at all. They're designed in a way where you come in and instead of asking a question in a sort of engaging way, a welcoming way this way, immediately the candidate is asked to search through a long list of jobs to figure out what those keywords mean, what those job titles mean, to navigate through all this. And hopefully at the end of it, to develop a sense of comfort that, oh, maybe this is the right job for me, or maybe it's this one. And just to be safe, I'm going to apply to all 6 of them, so that this company, to maximize my chances of being hired. And that creates a world of problem for recruiters, as you know. So I think that the best career website is actually very much like the pulsating red dot from HAL from 2001 Space Odyssey. It's simply a robot or an AI that you can talk to, that you can say, hello, this is what I want, what do you have? Or maybe to put it in a more traditional way, to simply to have that Google search button in the middle that says, hello, tell me what you're looking for, or a robot in the middle of a page that engages you. So giving you a little bit of an insight into the kind of R&D that we're focused on and where I see the future. But I'd love to hear your thoughts on this topic. What is the dream career website? What does it look like? What does it do? So thanks for sharing in advance, and looking forward to building the best career website with some of you.